A famous explorer once said,
"You could do a lot worse for your day than play Tomb Raider." I'm just joking, I'm not that famous explorer. It's me, Hector, and this week I'm covering one of my favourite gaming franchises. That's right, Tomb Raider. Now, Raider. Stealing. I know what you're thinking. Say, Hector, isn't that a sin? Well, you'd be right. But listen, I'm not here to talk about that today. I'm merely here to celebrate what is perhaps, you may even say, the holy grail of PS1 gaming. So, without further ado, let's all bow down to our queen of PlayStation. '96 was a big year for many reasons. For one thing, it was the year that I upped 6 and left home for the first time. And, well, let's say that I've never looked back since. But, in other news, this was the year in which the gaming franchise I'll be focusing on today was kick-started, and the character of Lara Croft first made her way into the public consciousness. The first instalment, from 1996, was created by a team of 6 developers over the course of 3 years. One of those developers was computer game character designer Toby Gard. He was credited with the character of Lara Croft herself. Now, legend has it that the character of Lara Croft was originally supposed to be male, but was only turned female later on in the process. The reason being, the developers decided for the game to be focused on more stealthier movements and puzzle solving, rather than any sort of sustained, robust action. These qualities, they decided, were more suited to a female protagonist. Yeah, pretty thing like that. She could fit for anything. But look, for all my sisters out there, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a female character engaging in some strong action. This wasn't my choice, okay? If you've got a problem, then you'll have to take it up with Toby Gard then, won't you? Just stop your whinging, for crying out loud. Anyway, the focus on puzzle solving in the franchise's early installments created an immersive playing experience which rewarded the gamer with their attention to detail in its quieter moments, as much as their ability to engage in the game's more fast-paced action. This was hugely helped by Tomb Raider's ornate level designs. The player could complete the levels using a variety of routes for a richly designed open-world feel. The emphasis on puzzle solving wasn't, of course, to say the early games were without their fair share of action. In many ways, what the quieter moments of the game offered was a false sense of security, as the game's variety of enemies would often pop up when you least suspect. Look, how did Harper get into this game? Oh, my mistake. It's just a homeless man who fancies himself as a bit of a fighter. No connection there, I'm sure. Oh, Jesus. 15 years later and I'm still not over that tiger. Fucking hell. In a way, that was what made the early games so atmospheric. You never knew what kind of enemy was lurking just around the corner. In fact, some of my personal favourite moments in both the original and the reboots which was to follow were the levels which centred around a modern metropolis such as Tokyo or London. First of all, you'd roam settings more familiar at first glance to a conventional action game set in a present day city setting, but then, as quick as anything, you'd then be brought back to the dark, mysterious underworld of the game with its relics and its temples, which were already synonymous with the franchise as a whole. So for example, this tomb was included in a level set in London, concealed at the very bottom of the abandoned Aldwych underground station. It's one of my favourite levels in the entire series as it goes. God, I tell you what, looking at this, it's making me want to go find it myself. Maybe I will one day. And maybe I'll take the children with me too, just to take their mind off things for a little bit. But for all my love for the original instalments, sadly, rocky times lay ahead. As much as I enjoyed the third game, this was where many critics' impatience with the franchise began to surface. With the exception of the second instalment, there have been no major step forward in quality from one game to the next, with core designs beginning to rest on their laurels. And by the time 1999's Tomb Raider Chronicles came round, I simply wasn't enjoying the game anymore, and was actually getting more frustrated with their shortcomings which I had previously chosen to forgive. For example, the long-winded gameplay. It started to feel as though everything in these games took forever. Check this out, the policemen on this game were unstoppable. They took forever to kill. God, it makes you wish the police had this sort of superhuman strength in real life. All their victims, of course, depending on your political view on the subjects. But I digress. And look at this shit, look. When I should be out in the neighbourhoods, grafting, the last thing that I need is a glitch taking up my precious time. It disrupts the flow of an otherwise perfect puzzle adventure experience. And Core Design's ventures into alternative mediums offered little more commercial or critical success. Tomb Raider Prophecy, for example. Here we go. For my last birthday, Harper suggested that we play a game of let's punch Hector in the face until he's bruised enough to be a real man. And even that was more enjoyable than the experience I had playing Tomb Raider but in Prophecy. Core Design at this point was a company out of ideas, and by the time 2003 came round, all the shit had hit all the fans. The Angel of fucking Darkness, ladies and gentlemen. The game so poorly received that Paramount Studios suggested that its negative press was responsible for the poor commercial performance of the film The Cradle of Life, which came out in the same year. Unforgivable. This was to be the end of Eidos' partnership with Core Design, as the former decided to take the production to Crystal Dynamics, and with that, the franchise was reborn. Up first was 2006's Tomb Raider Legend. After purchasing the game for myself the other week, I have to say that the upgrade on quality was nothing short of stunning. The in-game engine allows for a much more cinematic approach, and at moments the players are actually able to navigate their way through the cutscenes themselves. A much better way to tackle the game's moments of action than this, I think you'll agree. The best of the first 3 games with their puzzle solving and intricate level designs remained. This was highlighted at no more successful point than during a level set in England, where Lara had to uncover a secret passageway through the King Arthur Museum in order to uncover an underground layer containing the ancient sword of Excalibur. And crucially, the balance between action and puzzle has successfully been struck to a level we've not yet seen before, even in the series' heyday of the 1990s. The following year, a reboot of the very first game, entitled Tomb Raider Anniversary, was released, which simply followed the same story and level structure used in the very first Lara Croft outing. But the in-game engine had been such a success during Tomb Raider Legend that regardless of nothing new story-wise, the game still thrived commercially. And the series again broke new ground in 2008's Tomb Raider Underworld, as this edition's Lara Croft became the most detailed in-game character of all time, using 32,816 polygons. Look, as great as these games were in their own right, what they represented for me were a significant turning point for what was to come from the series. They were essentially the building blocks for the Tomb Raider series' crescendo to this point. "2013 saw the franchise's second and latest reboot. Unlike previous games and their emphasis on the hunt for relics and artifacts, the theme for this game was survival. And well, who better than me to comment on this, eh? You're more than welcome. One thing immediately noticeable about 2013's Tomb Raider is the design of Lara Croft in this game. She has been made to look far younger than previously and more vulnerable. In a sense, what this did was create the idea that as the series is reborn, so too is Lara Croft herself. So much like the role-player games, which skyrocketed in popularity during the 2000s, the player is given a timid, injured version of the famous character at the beginning of the game. But then, as you play your way through the story, acquiring new skills and overcoming various enemies, she begins to grow into the iconic and powerful Lara Croft, known to even the most casual gamer. In contrast to the earlier games, Croft is acting out of necessity and desperation for sheer survival, rather than attempt any skilled approach towards a greater cause or personal gain. The theme of survival allows for a dark, visceral tone to pervade the entire game, and as a result, a level of realism completely unmatched by the series' predecessors is achieved. So taking what's been discussed into account, we can see the links between the earliest instalments and how beautifully they've been built upon. The earliest games were centred around richly designed levels for the player to navigate their way through. The player was often given a choice for the route they wish to take in order to finish a level. And here we climax on one single, massive level, an enormous island for the player to immerse themselves in, with endless optional puzzles and secrets to be investigated. All the aspects which have made the series as a whole such a success have combined to create what's for me undoubtedly the best instalment of the franchise to date, and it leaves me in no doubt that Crystal Dynamics will be able to build even further on this great series legacy. Well, I suppose that's just about time for me to wrap up. All I'll leave you with is, I'll just say that if you can, get down to your local jumble sale or whatever it is the youngins are into these days and get yourself a copy of Tomb Raider, whether it be the very first game all the way through to Tomb Raider Anniversary. You know, they've all got such great replayability, with the exception of a murky period in between that I won't bother myself with again. All of them have got something new to discover with each replay. So whether it be to let off from steam or to challenge yourself mentally, get yourself a copy. Will we ever see another game like it? Well, if we don't, then I guess this Thunder Cunt will just have to deal with me then, won't he? I'll see you all very soon. Peace and love. Amen. House Hector.